The days after the battle were quiet. Workers cleared the palace grounds, removing the bodies and broken machines. Funeral rites were held for the Valari who had died in the attack. The entire empire mourned, but there was something else beneath the grief. Something that had not existed before. Hope. Word spread quickly through the remaining Valari worlds. The Krath had attacked with 10,000 warriors and their greatest war machines. A single human had destroyed them all. The videos from the battle were watched millions of times. People who had given up, who had accepted that extinction was coming, suddenly believed again. Yuna watched all of this from her throne, trying to understand. She had not spoken to Tay since the battle. He had returned to his rooms in the East Wing and stayed there, appearing only for meals. When she saw him in the halls, he bowed respectfully and continued on his way. He never sought her attention, never demanded anything. It was Grandmother Hana who finally pushed her to act. "You cannot avoid him forever," the old woman said. They sat together in Yuna's private garden, surrounded by flowers that glowed softly in the evening light. "He is your husband. He is a weapon," Yuna said. "You saw what he did. I saw him save your life. I saw him save all of our lives." Hana poured tea for them both. "Are you afraid of him?" Yuna thought about this carefully. Was she afraid? She had watched Tay kill thousands of warriors with his bare hands. She had seen him punch through armor, break bones like sticks, move faster than her eyes could follow. By all logic, she should be terrified, but she was not. "No," she admitted. "I am not afraid. I am confused." "About what?" "About everything." Yuna set down her tea. "I expected humans to be weak. I expected my husband to be a burden, someone I would have to protect while Earth sent us ships and soldiers. Instead, I married a man who is more dangerous than our entire military combined. And this confuses you?" "Yes, because he does not act like a weapon. He acts like..." She struggled to find the words. "He acts kind, gentle. When he looks at me, his eyes are soft. When he speaks, his voice is warm. How can someone so deadly be so gentle?" Hannah smiled. "Perhaps that is what makes humans so dangerous. They can be both." That night, Yuna went to Tay's rooms. She found him sitting by a window, looking up at the stars. He had changed into simple clothes, a loose shirt, and plain pants. Without his formal suit, he looked even more ordinary. "Just a man watching the sky, Your Highness." He stood quickly when he saw her. "Is something wrong?" "No, She hesitated. This was harder than facing the Krath. "I wanted to talk to you. If you have time, of course." He gestured to a chair beside him. "Please sit." They sat together in silence for a moment. The stars outside were beautiful distant points of light that had watched over the universe for billions of years. "I want to understand you," Yuna finally said. "What you are, where you came from, why you agreed to this marriage." Tay was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was soft and sad. "I was born on Earth, in a small village in the mountains. My family was poor but happy. When I was young, I showed certain abilities. I was faster than other children, stronger. I could do things that should not be possible. What happened? The government found me. They took me to a special facility where they trained people like me. They called us the Guardians. We were raised to protect Earth from any threat, internal or external. We trained for decades, learning to push our bodies and minds beyond all limits. How many of you are there?" 12. Just 12 in all of Earth's history. He paused. "We are weapons of last resort. We do not fight in normal wars. We only appear when Earth or its allies face complete destruction. That is why the galaxy does not know about us. That is why the Krath never saw us coming." Yuna absorbed this information slowly. "And the marriage?" Why did you agree to come here? Tay turned to look at her. In the starlight, his face was gentle, his eyes filled with something she could not name. Because they asked me to, he said simply. Your people needed help. Earth wanted to support you. When they asked for a volunteer to marry the Valari princess and protect her world, I stepped forward. But why you? You are one of 12. You must be incredibly valuable. Why send you? He smiled that soft, almost shy smile she was beginning to know. Because I saw your picture. My picture? In the mission briefing. There was a picture of you from some diplomatic event. You were standing alone on a balcony, looking out at the sky. You seemed sad. Strong, but sad. Like you were carrying the weight of your entire people on your shoulders. Yuna remembered that night. It had been her mother's death anniversary. She had stepped away from the celebration to cry alone. I thought, Tay continued, that someone who carried so much pain deserved to have someone share the burden. That was why I volunteered. Not for politics or alliances, but because you looked like you needed someone to stand beside you. Yuna felt something break inside her. A wall she had built around her heart for years' protection against the endless loss and pain cracked and fell. You came here to help me, she whispered. Not the Empire. Not the war. Me. Yes, but you did not even know me. Tay reached out and gently took her hand. His touch was warm, careful, as if she was something precious that might shatter. I know you now, he said. I know that you are brave enough to marry a stranger to save your people. I know that you stood tall when the Krath came, ready to die with dignity. I know that you cried for your guard captain when he fell. He squeezed her hand softly. You are a good person, Yuna, a good empress. Your people are lucky to have you. She realized she was crying. Tears ran down her blue cheeks and fell onto their joined hands. I have been alone for so long, she said. Since my parents died. Since the war took everything. I forgot what it felt like to have someone on my side. You are not alone anymore. Tay lifted his other hand and gently wiped the tears from her face. I am here, and I will stay here for as long as you want me. Yuna looked at this impossible man. This weapon who was also kind. This monster who was also gentle. This human who had come across the stars because he saw a sad princess in a picture and wanted to help her. The galaxy will know about humans now, she said. After what you did, everyone will know what Earth is hiding. The other empires will be afraid. Let them be afraid. Tay's voice was calm. Earth has hidden its true nature for 500 years to avoid conflict. But we have always been ready to reveal it for the right cause. Protecting the innocent is worth any price. And if the Krath return with larger armies? With more weapons? Tay smiled. Then I will be here. And if I am not enough, Earth will send the others. 12 guardians, Your Highness. And behind us, 8 billion humans who refuse to let their friends be destroyed. Yuna laughed a real laugh, the first in years. You are insane. All of you humans are insane. Perhaps. But we are your insane humans now. He brought her hand to his lips and kissed it gently. My princess. My empress. My wife. I will protect you until the stars burn out. She looked into his eyes and saw the truth there. He meant every word. This gentle, deadly, impossible man would stand between her and the universe itself. And for the first time, Yuna understood why the galaxy feared humanity. It was not because they were strong. It was not because they were fast or deadly or unstoppable. It was because when humans loved something, they would move worlds to protect it. They would fight armies, break empires, and remake the universe itself if necessary. And somehow, against all odds, this human had decided to love her. Yuna leaned forward and kissed him softly. Stay with me, she whispered. Always, he promised Dot outside. The stars continued their eternal dance. The war would go on. More battles would come. But for the first time in 300 years, the Valari Empire had something they had never had before. A guardian who would never let them fall. And somewhere far away, in the void between galaxies, the Krath commanders told their leaders what they had seen. The galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. The beautiful moment shattered like glass. The great windows of the ceremonial hall exploded inward as Krath dropships crashed through them. Screams filled the air. Nobles ran in every direction, their fine clothes tearing as they fought to escape. Una stood frozen at the altar, watching her world fall apart. The Krath poured into the hall like a flood of nightmares. They were tall creatures, nearly 3 meters high, with gray skin like stone and 4 arms ending in razor claws. Their faces had no eyes, only a wide mouth filled with teeth. They saw through sound, like bats, and their screams echoed through the hall as they located their prey. Behind them came more, and more. Hundreds of warriors flooding through every entrance. "Your Highness!" Guard Captain Jisoo grabbed Yuna's arm. "We must get you to safety." He pulled her toward a side door. The more Krath burst through it. Jisoo raised his weapon and fired, killing 2 of them, but a third slashed him across the chest. He fell, blood pouring from the wound. Yuna knelt beside him. "Jisoo, run," he whispered. "Your Highness, run." His eyes went dark while Yuna looked up. The Krath had formed a circle around the altar. There were too many to count. Their horrible screaming filled the hall as they closed in. This was it, she realized. This was how she would die. At her own wedding, surrounded by enemies, watching her people be slaughtered around her. The war would end tonight, and the Valari would be remembered only as another species the Krath had erased from existence. She stood tall. If she was going to die, she would die as a princess, as an empress. She would not give them the pleasure of seeing her fear. "Come then," she said, her voice steady. "Finish it." The Krath charged Dot, and then Tay was there. He moved between Yuna and the attacking warriors so fast that she did not see him move. One moment, he was at the altar. The next, he was standing before her, his back straight, his hands at his sides. "Stay behind me," he said calmly. "This will be over soon." "What are you doing?" Yuna shouted. "You have no weapons. You cannot fight them." Tay turned his head slightly. She saw his profile, the gentle curve of his jaw, the softness of his features. He looked like he was about to take a pleasant walk through a garden. "Your Highness," he said, "there is something you should know about humans." The first Krath reached him, all 4 claws swinging toward his head. Tay moved, not quickly. That was not the right word. What Yuna saw was something beyond speed. He seemed to exist outside of time itself. His hand came up and touched the Krath's arm. Just touched it, and the arm broke backward at the elbow with a crack that echoed through the hall. Before the creature could scream, Tay's other hand struck its throat. The Krath dropped instantly, dead before it hit the ground. 2 more came at him from the sides. Tay stepped forward, 1 step, and his foot swept low, taking out the legs of the first attacker. As it fell, he drove his elbow into its skull. The second Krath swung all 4 arms at once. Tay ducked under the attack so smoothly it looked choreographed. His palm struck the creature's chest, and it flew backward, crashing into 3 others and sending them all to the ground. Yuna could not breathe, could not think. She could only watch. Tay walked into the mass of Krath warriors like he was walking through tall grass. Every movement was perfect. Every strike was fatal. He did not waste energy. He did not hesitate. He simply moved through them, leaving broken bodies in his wake. A Krath commander, larger than the others with metal plates on its skin, charged at him with a massive blade. The creature was faster than any warrior Yuna had ever seen. The blade came down with enough force to split a tank in half. Tay caught it. He caught the blade with one hand, stopping it completely. The commander screamed in confusion and tried to pull it back. Tay held it still. Then, with his other hand, he grabbed the commander's face and squeezed. The metal plates crumpled like paper. The commander felt by now. The other Krath had realized something was wrong. They stopped attacking one at a time and began to coordinate, coming at Tay in groups of 10, 20, 30 at once. It made no difference. Tay became a storm, a hurricane of precise, devastating violence. He moved so fast that Yuna could barely follow him with her eyes. She saw flashes, a kick that shattered a skull, a punch that went through armor, a throw that sent a warrior flying across the hall to crash through a stone pillar. Bodies piled around him. Krath warriors who had conquered worlds, who had destroyed empires, who had never known fear. They learned fear now. They learned it from a single human in a black suit who killed them as easily as breathing. Some tried to run. Tay did not let them. He leaped 20 meters through the air, landing among a group trying to escape through a broken window. They died before they could scream. He grabbed one warrior by the leg and swung it into 5 others, using it as a weapon. He kicked a stone pillar, and it cracked and fell, crushing a dozen Krath beneath it. Yuna's guards had stopped fighting. They stood with their weapons lowered, staring at the impossible thing happening before them. The nobles who had not escaped pressed against the walls, their faces white with shock. Grandmother Hannah appeared beside Yuna. The old woman's eyes were wide. "Stars above," she whispered. The stories were true. "What is he?" Yuna breathed. "He is human." Hannah's voice shook. "He's what humans become when they stop pretending to be weak." The battle, if it could be called a battle, was ending. Most of the Krath were dead. The survivors had stopped fighting and were simply trying to escape. Tay did not chase them. He stood in the center of the hall, surrounded by hundreds of bodies, his chest rising and falling with slow, controlled breaths. His suit was torn in places. His hands were red with blood, none of it his own. His face was calm, almost peaceful. He turned and walked back toward Yuna. Each step was measured, careful, as if he was afraid of scaring her. "Your Highness," he said softly. "Are you hurt?" She could not speak. She could only stare at this man, this monster, who had just killed an army with his bare hands. "The Krath have more forces outside," Tay continued. "My sensors detect approximately 10,000 warriors surrounding the palace with heavy armor support. I will need to deal with them before they can regroup." 10,000. He said it like it was nothing. Like 10,000 Krath warriors were a minor inconvenience. Yuna finally found her voice. "How?" Tay looked at her with those dark, kind eyes. "Humans have a saying, Your Highness. We are endurance predators. We do not have claws or armor. We cannot run fast or fly. But we never stop. We adapt. We improve. We become whatever we need to become to survive." He paused. "And I have become what Earth needed me to be." He walked toward the shattered windows, toward the army waiting outside. "Wait," Yuna called out. He stopped. "At least take a weapon. Take armor. Take something." Tay smiled. That same gentle, almost shy smile she had seen when he first arrived. "I am the weapon, Your Highness." Then he stepped through the window and was gone. Yuna ran to the broken window. She had to see. She had to understand what was happening. Outside, the palace grounds had become a war zone. Krath dropships covered the sky like dark clouds. Their heavy walkers, massive machines of death, standing 50 meters tall, surrounded the palace walls. And everywhere, on every inch of ground, there were Krath warriors. 10,000, maybe more, all screaming their horrible sound vision screams. They had come to destroy the Valari Empire once and for all. Then they saw Tay. He walked out of the palace alone, his torn suit flapping in the wind. He looked so small, so fragile. Against the army before him, he should have been nothing. An insect to be crushed. The Krath commander, a massive creature with golden plates marking its high rank, pointed at Tay and laughed. The sound was awful, like metal scraping on stone. One human? The commander's voice boomed across the battlefield. The Valari send one human to face us? This is their final defense? The army laughed with him. 10,000 voices mocking the tiny figure before them. Tay stopped walking. He stood perhaps 100 meters from the front line, completely alone. He looked up at the walkers, at the dropships, at the endless mass of warriors. Then he did something strange. He stretched. Just a simple stretch, rolling his shoulders, cracking his neck, like he was preparing for exercise. "All right," he said. His voice was quiet, but somehow Yuna could hear it clearly from her window. "Let us begin." He moved. Yuna had thought she understood speed. She had seen Tay fight in the ceremonial hall. She had watched him kill hundreds of Krath in minutes. But that had been him holding back. That had been him being careful around the nobles and guards. Now, with nothing but enemies before him, Tay stopped holding back. He hit the front line like a bomb exploding. The first 50 Krath died in the time it takes to blink. He was among them, through them, past them, leaving only broken bodies behind. He moved so fast that he left a trail of dust and shattered stone in his wake. The army tried to respond. Warriors turned to attack him, but he was never where they expected. He was behind them, beside them, above them, everywhere and nowhere at once. Each touch of his hand was death. Each strike of his foot shattered bodies like they were made of glass. A walker turned its massive guns toward him. The weapons fired, tearing up the ground where Tay had been standing. But he was already moving. He ran up the leg of the walker, leaping from joint to joint, and in 3 seconds he reached the top. His hand punched through the armored cockpit and pulled out the pilot. Then he jumped to the next walker. One by one, the great war machines fell. Tay moved through them like a ghost, destroying controls, killing pilots, sometimes simply kicking vital parts until the machines collapsed. By the time the Krath commanders understood what was happening, half their walkers were burning. Yuna watched with her hand pressed to her mouth. Beside her, nobles and guards stood in shocked silence. No one could speak. No one could look away. How is this possible? Someone whispered. Grandmother Hannah answered, her voice hollow. Humans evolved on a death world. Every creature on Earth tried to kill them. The weather tried to kill them. The planet itself tried to kill them. And still they survived. Still they grew stronger. Over millions of years, they became this. On the battlefield, the Krath were panicking. They had conquered 1,000 worlds. They had destroyed species without number. Nothing had ever stood against them like this. Nothing had ever made them feel fear. Now they felt fear. Warriors began to run. They fled toward their dropships, toward any escape they could find. But the dropships were falling from the sky. Tay had reached the anti-air weapons and turned them against the Krath fleet. Explosions lit up the sky as ships crashed to the ground. The Krath commander screamed orders, trying to organize his troops. He was the largest Krath Yuna had ever seen, nearly 4 meters tall, covered in scars from 100 battles. He carried a blade made from the bone of a species he had personally destroyed. "Stand and fight," he roared. "He is only one human, one creature. We are the Krath. We do not run." The warriors around him stopped fleeing. They formed a circle, weapons ready, prepared to face the monster that hunted them. Tay appeared at the edge of their circle. He was covered in blood. Now, his suit completely ruined, his skin marked with gray Krath blood. But he was not tired. He was not even breathing hard. "Your soldiers are dead or fleeing," Tay said calmly. "Your walkers are destroyed. Your ships are burning. This fight is over. You can surrender and be taken prisoner, or you can die here. The choice is yours." The commander laughed. "Surrender? To one human? I have killed 1,000 warriors with my own hands. I have destroyed worlds. I am fear itself." He charged at Tay with his massive bone blade. What happened next was so fast that Yuna almost missed it. The commander swung his blade, a strike that could cut through starship armor. Tay stepped to the side, took the commander's arm, and twisted. The arm broke at the elbow, then at the shoulder. The commander screamed as his bone blade clattered to the ground. Tay grabbed the commander by the throat and lifted him off the ground. Despite his size, the Krath weighed nothing in the human's grip. "Listen carefully," Tay said. His voice was still calm, still gentle. "This world is under Earth's protection now. The Valari people are under my protection. If the Krath ever attack them again, if you ever threaten them again, I will not stop at one army. I will come to your home world. I will find every Krath warrior, every commander, every leader, and I will end your species forever." He threw the commander to the ground. "Go. Tell your people what you saw here today. Tell them about the human who killed 10,000 of your warriors alone. Tell them to never return." The commander scrambled to his feet. His face, that horrible eyeless face, showed pure terror. He ran. The surviving Krath ran with him, climbing into any ships that still worked, fleeing into the sky as fast as they could. In minutes, they were gone. Tay stood alone on the battlefield. Around him lay thousands of dead Krath, burning walkers, crashed ships. A cold wind blew across the destruction, carrying smoke and ash. He turned and walked back toward the palace. Yuna met him at the gate. She did not know what to say. Her guards parted before her, stepping away from the human as if he might explode. The nobles watched from the windows, too afraid to come closer. Tay stopped before her. Up close, she could see the exhaustion in his eyes. The killing had cost him something. Not physically, he did not seem hurt, but something else. Something deeper. "It is done," he said quietly. "They will not return. Not for a long time. Yuna's voice cracked. "You killed all of them. By yourself. Not all. Maybe 3,000. The rest fled." He looked down at his blood-covered hands. "I am sorry you had to see that. I know it must have been frightening. He had just killed 3,000 warriors with his bare hands, and he was worried about frightening her. "Who are you?" she asked again. The same question from the wedding. But now it meant something different. Tay met her eyes. "I told you. I am what humanity needed me to become. A weapon, a guardian, a monster, if necessary." He paused. "But I am also just a man who was sent here to protect you. And I will, no matter what comes, no matter what it costs me." He dropped to one knee before her, his head bowed. "I know you did not choose this marriage," he said. "I know you expected someone different. But I swear to you now, Your Highness, while I live, nothing will harm you. Nothing will threaten your people. I will be your sword and your shield for as long as you need me." Yuna looked down at this impossible man, this gentle monster, this human who had just saved her world. She did not know what to feel. But for the first time in years, she did not feel afraid. The days before the wedding moved slowly. Yuna tried to ignore the human called Tay, but she found herself watching him from windows and doorways. He was strange, not in an obvious way, but in small things she could not quite understand. He woke before sunrise every day. She knew this because her guards reported it to her. He would go to the palace gardens and simply stand there, breathing deeply, his eyes closed. Sometimes he would move slowly, his arms and legs flowing through positions she did not recognize. It looked almost like a dance, but there was something precise about it, something controlled. What is he doing? She asked her guard captain, a large Valari warrior named Jesu. Jesu shook his head. I do not know, Your Highness. Some kind of human exercise, perhaps. It does not look like combat training. Of course not, Yuna said. Humans do not train for combat. They use machines and weapons to fight for them. But she kept watching. On the second day, Tay was walking through the palace when he came across a group of young Valari soldiers. They were laughing and talking loudly. When they saw the human, they stopped. Their faces turned hard. So this is the human who will save us, one of them said. His name was Minho, and he was the son of a noble family. He was tall and strong, with the purple marks of a warrior on his face. He looks like a child. Tay stopped walking. He looked at Minho with calm, patient eyes. Hello. Is there something I can help you with? Minho stepped closer. He was almost 2 heads taller than the human. Yes, you can leave. We do not need help from weak creatures like you. I understand your feelings, Tay said quietly. Your people have suffered greatly. It must be hard to accept help from strangers. We do not need your understanding. Minho grabbed the front of Tay's jacket and lifted him off the ground. The other soldiers laughed. Look at this, so light. I could break him with one hand. Tay did not struggle. He hung there in Minho's grip, his face peaceful. You could try, he said softly. Something in his voice made Minho hesitate. The human's eyes had changed somehow. They were still calm, but there was something behind them now. Something vast and deep, like looking into the darkness between stars. Minho suddenly felt cold. His hand shook slightly. Put him down. Everyone turned. Princess Yuna stood in the hallway, her eyes burning with anger. Your Highness, Minho started. I said put him down. Now. Minho released Tay immediately. The human landed lightly on his feet, as graceful as a cat. This man is to be my husband, Yuna said. He is under my protection. If any of you touch him again, you will answer to me. The soldiers bowed quickly and hurried away. Minho gave Tay one last look, a look of confusion and fear, before following them. Yuna turned to Tay. Are you hurt? No. Tay straightened his jacket. Thank you for helping me, but it was not necessary. It looked necessary. Minho is one of our strongest warriors. He could have killed you. Tay smiled his gentle smile. With respect, Your Highness, no, he could not. Yuna frowned. This human was strange. He should have been afraid. He should have been grateful. Instead, he spoke as if being attacked by a warrior twice his size was nothing. You are very confident for someone with no weapons and no armor, she said. Weapons and armor are useful tools, Tay agreed. But they are not the only source of strength. Then what is? Tay looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, Perhaps I can show you someday, Your Highness. When you are ready to see. He bowed and walked away, leaving Yuna standing alone in the hallway, more confused than before. That evening, Yuna asked Grandmother Hannah to tell her more about humans. They come from a planet called Earth, Hannah said. They sat together in Yuna's private chambers, drinking warm tea. It is a small world with harsh conditions. Extreme temperatures, dangerous animals, constant natural disasters. By all logic, intelligent life should never have evolved there. But it did. Yes, and somehow humans survived. They did not have claws or sharp teeth. They could not run fast or see in the dark. Their bodies were soft and weak. But they survived. How? Hannah was quiet for a moment. They adapted. They changed. They learned to use their minds in ways no other species has. and they never stopped improving themselves. What do you mean? Humans have a strange ability, Your Highness. They can push their bodies and minds beyond natural limits. When faced with danger, they become more, faster, stronger, more dangerous. Hana set down her tea. There are stories of single humans defeating entire armies, of soldiers who kept fighting with wounds that should have killed them instantly, of mothers who lifted vehicles to save their children. Yuna laughed. Those sound like children's tales, perhaps. But consider this. Earth has never been invaded. The Krath, who fear nothing, will not go near it. The great empires of the galaxy, who conquered 1,000 worlds, never touched that small blue planet. Hana leaned forward. Why? Yuna had no answer. I think, Hana said slowly, that humanity hides what it truly is. I think they show the galaxy only what they want us to see. Merchants, traders, peaceful diplomats. But beneath that surface, she shook her head. I do not know what is beneath. I am not sure I want to know. That night, Yuna dreamed of darkness, of something vast and terrible wearing a human face. She woke up sweating, her heart's pounding. The wedding day arrived. The ceremonial hall was filled with nobles and dignitaries from across what remained of the Valari Empire. Yuna wore a dress of pure white that floated around her like clouds. Her silver hair was decorated with crystals that caught the light. She stood at the altar and waited for her groom Date walk down the aisle slowly. He had changed into formal clothes, a simple black suit in the human style. He still carried no weapons. He still looked ordinary. But as Yuna watched him approach, she noticed something she had not seen before. The way he moved, it was smooth, effortless. Each step was perfectly placed, perfectly balanced. He did not walk like a merchant or a diplomat. He walked like she did not know what. Like water flowing. Like wind moving through trees. He reached the altar and stood beside her. Up close, she could see his eyes clearly for the first time. They were dark brown, warm and kind. But deep within them, she saw something else. Control. Absolute, complete control. This man, she realized, was always aware of everything around him. Every person, every movement, every possible threat. He looked relaxed, but he was not. He was ready. For what? She did not know. The ceremony began. Ancient words were spoken. Promises were made. When it was done, they were husband and wife. Thank you, Tay said quietly as the crowd cheered. I know this was not your choice. I will try not to be a burden to you. Yuna looked at him. Who are you, really? She whispered. Tay met her eyes. For just a moment, the mask slipped. She saw something ancient behind his young face. Something that had seen countless battles, countless deaths, countless horrors. I am what Earth made me, he said. I am what humanity needed me to become. And I am here to protect you, Your Highness, no matter what comes. Before Yuna could respond, the ground shook. Alarms began to scream. The Krath had arrived. The war had lasted for 300 years. Princess Yuna stood at the tall window of her palace and looked out at the burning sky. Another city had fallen. Another million of her people were dead. The Krath Dominion showed no mercy. They never did. Yuna was tall and beautiful, with silver hair that fell to her waist and eyes the color of pale moons. Her skin was light blue, like all Valari people, and small marks of royalty glowed softly on her cheeks. She was only 200 years old young for her kind, but the war had made her feel ancient. Your Highness, said her advisor, Grandmother Hana, walking into the room. The old woman's face was lined with worry. The council has made their decision. Yuna did not turn from the window. They want me to accept the human offer. Yes, a marriage alliance with Earth. Yuna laughed, but there was no happiness in the sound. We have fought the Krath for centuries. Our warriors are the finest in the galaxy. Our ships can crack planets. And now we must beg help from humans? Grandmother Hannah walked to stand beside her princess. The Krath have broken through our final defense line. In 6 months, they will reach this world. We have no choice. Yuna finally turned. Her eyes were hard. Humans are weak. They live such short lives, barely 100 years. They have no natural weapons, no claws, no armor. Their bodies break so easily. What can they possibly offer us? The humans say they will send a protector, Hana said carefully. One of their elite soldiers. He will marry you, and through this union, Earth will commit their full military support to our cause. One soldier. Yuna shook her head. The Krath have billions of warriors. What is one human soldier? Hana was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke in a low voice. Your Highness, I have heard stories about humans. Strange stories. What stories? They say humans are not what they appear to be. They say Earth hides its true nature from the galaxy. They say... Hana paused. They say there is a reason no one has ever successfully invaded Earth. Yuna waved her hand dismissively. Rumors and lies. Humans are a young species. They have been in space for only 500 years. They are merchants and traders, nothing more. Then, why does the Krath Dominion refuse to attack Earth? They have conquered 1,000 worlds, but they will not touch that small blue planet. This made Yuna pause. It was true. The Krath feared nothing. They had destroyed empires far greater than the Valari. But they had never moved against Earth. When she had asked why, her generals had no answer. It does not matter, Yuna said finally. If marrying a human is what saves my people, I will do it. I have no pride left. The Krath took that from me when they killed my mother and father. The memory still hurt. The Krath had assassinated the Emperor and Empress 10 years ago. Yuna had been forced to take the throne as a young girl. She had spent every day since then fighting a war she could not win. When does this human arrive? She asked. Tomorrow, Your Highness. Yuna nodded. Prepare the ceremonial hall. We will hold the wedding in 3 days. I want this finished quickly. You do not wish to meet him first? To know what kind of man he is? Why would I? Yuna asked coldly. This is not a real marriage. It is a transaction. Earth gives us soldiers, and I give them whatever they want from this arrangement. The human himself does not matter. Hannah bowed her head. As you wish, Your Highness. That night, Yuna could not sleep. She walked through the empty halls of her palace, past portraits of her ancestors, past the great statues of Valari heroes. Her people had once ruled 100 star systems. Now they had only 3. Soon they might have none. She stopped before a window and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, a human ship was traveling toward her world. A stranger was coming to be her husband. The thought made her feel sick. What kind of man agrees to such a marriage? She whispered to herself. He must be desperate, or foolish, or both. She imagined a soft, weak creature with pale skin and dull eyes. Humans were so fragile. Their bones broke easily. They could not survive in cold or heat. They needed to breathe constantly. They were, in every way, one of the weakest species in the galaxy. And yet, Yuna thought about what Grandmother Hannah had said. About the stories. About the Krath refusing to attack Earth. There was something there. Something hidden. But she could not imagine what it could be. It does not matter, she told herself again. He is just a human. He will stand beside me at formal events, and Earth will send us ships and weapons. That is all this is. She returned to her room and forced herself to sleep. The next day, the human ship arrived. Yuna watched from her throne as the vessel landed in the palace courtyard. It was a small ship, simple and gray. Nothing impressive. A crowd of Velari nobles had gathered to see the human, their faces showing a mixture of curiosity and disgust. The ship's door opened. A single man walked out. He was not tall, shorter than most Velari by at least a head. His hair was black and cut short. His skin was the warm brown color of humans from a region called Korea on Earth. He wore simple clothes, a dark jacket over a plain shirt, and black pants. No armor, no visible weapons. Nothing to show he was a soldier at all. He looked ordinary. Yuna felt her heart sink. This was what Earth sent? This small plain creature? The human walked toward the throne with calm, easy steps. His eyes moved over the crowd without concern. When he reached the bottom of the stairs, he bowed respectfully. "Your Highness," he said. His voice was quiet but clear. "My name is Tay. I am here to fulfill the alliance between Earth and the Velari Empire, and to protect you." Yuna looked down at him. She did not hide her disappointment. "You are the elite soldier Earth promised us." "Yes, you carry no weapons." Tay smiled. It was a gentle smile, almost shy. "I do not need them." Several nobles laughed. Yuna did not laugh. She simply stared at this strange man who spoke so confidently about needing no weapons in a time of war. "You will stay in the east wing of the palace," she said coldly. "The wedding will be in 3 days. Until then, I suggest you stay out of the way." Tay bowed again. "As you wish, Your Highness." He turned and walked toward the palace doors, following the servants who had come to guide him. Yuna watched him go, feeling a deep sense of despair. This was their savior? This quiet, weaponless man? They were all going to die.